so my experience of an ectopic pregnancy. So during COVID lockdown, I had an ectopic pregnancy. So I'd had a positive pregnancy test a few weeks before, and for probably about 4 or 5 days, I'd had a lot of pain in my tummy, and I had some bleeding, but it wasn't like huge amounts of bleeding. After about 4 or 5 days, I had so much pain that I thought my fallopian tube might be about to rupture. So I phoned the number that I'd been given for my midwife, and there was a voice message on that on her answer phone saying to phone the hospital, and she gave the phone number for the hospital if there were any issues, because she wasn't working or was seeing a patient. So I phoned the number that was on her voicemail for the maternity unit, and they told me to phone the early pregnancy unit. And I've done another video on my experience of the early pregnancy unit, but also what early pregnancy units are that you might want to watch. When I phoned the early pregnancy unit, I was told that I needed a GP appointment and a GP referral to get treatment. It was on a Sunday, so there wasn't any way I could get a GP appointment that day. If I'd phoned 111, I might have got an appointment, many hours later at a GP out of hours. And I really was worried that this was an ectopic pregnancy. And the person I spoke to said, well, you haven't had miscarriages before, so you'll be okay. But I had had miscarriages before, which is why I was concerned, because this felt different to previous miscarriages. I was really, really worried. So I felt really unwell. I had pain really low down on the left side of my tummy. So it's if you feel your hip bone, it was just near that and in probably about the width of my hand. And it was really, really painful. And so I did think I had an ectopic pregnancy and my fallopian tube might burst. And that's something that people can die from. And so I thought the only thing that I could do was to organise a private scan. And I recognised that, not everybody could afford to do that. I think it was about £40 to go and have a private scan. And I was able to have that a few hours afterwards. And they then referred me to the early pregnancy unit. It was the next day when I was then phoned by the early pregnancy unit, who asked me to come in. And I ended up going on to the early pregnancy unit 5 times before I had surgery. And I think the thing that particularly led them to doing surgery was I had a lot of pain, and it was going into my shoulder. So if you think you have an ectopic pregnancy, I would really urge you to get in contact with somebody that can provide you with help. So phoning 999 if you can't get to accident and emergency yourself, and you can't get there quickly. If you're feeling really unwell, just phone for an ambulance.